much. Oh, it's good to be here with everybody and to get reoriented into the business world. I've been away from all of that for a couple of years, and to hear everything. And I'm thrilled to be following Shana, who's done an incredible job of giving us great information and lots of things to think about. And this morning I woke up thinking I am a provocateur. And that's what Vanessa said all of us are. And so my job in this next hour or so is to provoke you to think beyond the left brain and to begin to explore with your mind, your whole mind, different ways of being in the world. So I'm having a slight challenge with my, what's that called? PowerPoint. So this is what we're going to do. I'd like everyone to move away from the tables and to bring anything that's in your hand onto the table and just get into a relaxed place. And everyone online, if you would take yourself away from whatever you're close to and get comfortable. Thanks, Mark. And I really want to thank Vanessa and Mark for inviting me after I submitted my thoughts on what we were going to do today, and also Lyndon and Sue for their support. So, okay, the purpose of this is to bring you into the moment. And so when you feel comfortable and safe, if you would make sure your feet are on the ground, if you're standing, and if you're sitting, if you would feel the chair or the sofa or the floor that's holding you. And begin to take some nice, slow, deep breaths. Bring your breath in and fill up your body all the way down to the belly. And then slowly release all that air into the space that you are living in. Breathing in and then breathing out. Nice, slow breaths. This is a moment for you to be aware of where your feet are, whether they're in socks or socks and shoes or barefoot. Just bring all your attention to your feet. If you can, wiggle your toes. And slowly bring your attention up your legs to your knees. And your thighs. Feel your clothing and your skin. Be aware of the tightness, the looseness. The air flowing all around you. Breathing in as you bring your attention to your pelvic bowl, that area that holds so much emotion from this lifetime and maybe others. And now, releasing any fear you may have with the next breath out. You are safe here, emotionally present as you bring your attention up your torso, your back, your chest, the heart pumping the blood through your body, the veins, the arteries, your shoulders, all the way down your arm, both your arms and your wrists, your hands. Feel your hands wherever they rest. And then notice how the air moves in and out of your nostrils, your mouth. Notice the temperature on the air as it enters your nostrils. And the temperature as you release the air that's circulating. This is a moment to give attention, to be mindful to this magnificent body that you live with. All the information that you've just brought in, find a place for it. And then just be here in this moment, this present moment. And then slowly come back into the room, feeling the air on your face. See if you can relax your mouth into a smile. It takes so much energy not to smile. And then when you're ready, come on back here. Here I am, seeing you. I can't see the people in the room, but I can see all the people online with me. That's thrilling. And you can see me, and my backdrop is one of my doodles. And this morning we're going to look at some of my doodles and stimulate your thinking, your feeling, your processing. Oh, let's see we can do this. Oh, great. Bless you, Matthew. Bless you, bless you. And now we have the first slide. So this is how I start. I start with grounding myself in the present. And this is my job, was to building a conscious leadership habit of we, mindfully. What do I mean by mindfully? Well, I'll just give you an example. I was getting ready to drive 6 hours home a couple of weeks ago from a wonderful week of listening to poetry and writing some myself. And I was noticing the drivers on the road. They were going fast. They weren't paying any attention to me. And I noticed my relaxed state become tense. I mindfully noticed this, and I said to myself, you can drive 6 hours being tense and judging these drivers, or what? And I said, well, I could be grateful. Took me a minute to get there. And then I looked up at the sky. And the sky in the mountains of North Carolina and in South Carolina that day were exquisite. They were blue with lots of little clouds, cumulus clouds floating everywhere. And I took a deep breath and I said, that's what I'm grateful for. I am going to move from narrow place to broad place and be grateful for those clouds that are there and the blue sky. And so was my mindfulness practice for those 6 hours, because I don't listen to a radio or music or podcasts. I like silence. And that's one of the reasons I began our time together here in the present moment. So I offer you that the next time that you notice your judging mind, and notice you have a choice. And as Lyndon said, I'm big on the word and I am trying to debut the world because I'm a butter. I became aware of how I butt everything, and I'm much better than I used to be. Of course, I've had about 15 years working on this. So, because we all know that but negates anything that came before it. And so I love you, but, or maybe I don't love you, or maybe you want to build on what you just said. Oh, we're looking at we. So I'd like you to take your paper that you've been writing on the last couple of days, taking notes, and your pen or pencil or whatever you're using, and write the word we. And then next to it, I'd love for you to draw, or I'm sorry, I'm using the word draw. I'd like you to doodle a head, a neck, a body with arms, legs, and feet. Take a minute to do that. This is not an art lesson, and it's just putting lines on a piece of paper. And now I'd like you to think of the word we that you just wrote down on that paper. Think about that, and think about any emotion that rises for you when you think about we. And I'd like you to mark it on your body that you just drew. I'm going to do the same thing. Okay. Very important in this presentation to think about the body, not just the mind, because we're full of emotion. And as Shana reminded us, it's all about love, people. It's all about love. And love is an emotion. And when we get distracted from love, we get distracted by another emotion. And those it's important to pay attention to. So we're watering the seeds already growing. You're already in we relationships, whether it's family, parents, children, spouses, work teams. If you could make a list of all your we's, please. I'm including you and I here. I wonder if anybody thought about the clothes that they're wearing as part of their we. Because part of we is me. And you've had a lot of me this last couple of days. It's important to remember that me is a part of we. And because we're all energy and we're moving back and forth from me to we, it's important to know where you are. So we're going to be exploring new seeds to plant and water, and learning and growing within the synergy process of me to we. Me, I'm thinking about as self-care and development, our internal growth process, birth to death. We're constantly learning and constantly learning how to take care of ourselves in terms of food, in terms of sex, in terms of relationships, in terms of what we want to learn. And we're a part of we, not just the we in this room or the we of the list that you just make. We're also a part of the world, the whole world, which is like, wow. And I don't often think of me being part of the world. And or me being a part of other people's relationships. And so I admit that I'm a beginner at all of this also. One day I was very fortunate to have a meeting with a Lama, and I walked into the session and I said, I'm just a beginner. I said very humbly, and he responded very quickly, so am I. Isn't that exciting? Okay, let's look at the next slide. Oops, here we go. One day I was on a retreat. I'd like you to focus in the center of this slide at the watercolor of the flower, the stem, the leaves, and the yellow underneath, just for that for right now. Let your mind just settle on that as you hear this story about how that watercolor got on the paper. I was on a retreat and I had this very large piece of paper and I had my watercolors with me, and I decided to just paint a flower with the blue behind it, the sky and the earth. And as I finished and looked at the flower sitting on this piece of paper all by itself, I had an experience of loneliness, of aloneness. And I'm an only child, like several other people I've met this week. And sometimes that loneliness, that aloneness is not comfortable. It's part of our little suffering that we do sometimes. And then I had this shift in my thinking to something my father used to say all the time. We need each other. Used to say, we need each other. Used to say it to the family. He said it to the people. He was the president of a synagogue, and he said it everywhere he went. And this, he lived in a gated community. In fact, one of the signs as you were leaving this gated community said, "Be safe out there. We need each other." And this all fits with my "and," this word that came into my life. We need each other, and I had to do something with the other side of the paper. And I remembered working for a woman named Jacqueline Novagarts, who created the Acumen Fund. And she had written a book called The Blue Sweater. She was from Colorado, and her aunt had knitted her a sweater. And she wore it in junior high with great pride. And then in high school, when she had developed and the guys started giving her a hard time about the mountains on the sweater, she went home and put it away to be given away like goodwill to some other people that might have needed it. Several years later, she was walking in the roads of Africa. I'm not sure what country. And she saw the sweater coming at her. And that began her organization and her thinking that together we can do anything. We can make things happen. I'd like you to make a list of the people you need in your life. And then write down 3 people, organizations, countries that you would like to partner with. Who do you want to be with? Dream, imagine. Watch your butts. Try "and" at the end of a sentence. At one time, in France many years ago, the scribes were writing and they had to write really fast. So instead of writing everything, they wrote ET, which et means and the ET became an ampersand, and it became the last letter of the alphabet. Can you imagine? And is the last letter of the alphabet. I know some people like to take their time in processing. I'm going to suggest that you don't think, you just write whatever comes to mind. And let's look at the next slide. So on the pre-conference, we learned about the line and above the line and below the line in terms of consciousness. And this is, excuse me, and this bowl is to help you think about where are you. There, that was part of the training, was are you above the line or below the line? And I have to say, Charlie, I really had a hard time because if you notice, the name of the organization that I'm from is Watering the Tree Outside the Fence. I am constantly watering my tree outside the fence. I'm a Jew, I'm a rabbi, and my Buddhist practice keeps my heart open. And I've gone on a vision quest, and the Native American traditions and 7 generations out is really important to me. But where am I right now? Where are you right now? Each of these colors is a state that I'd like you to think about. If you could write on your paper, where am I physically, emotionally? What am I thinking? And where am I spiritually? Where am I in the mystery of life? And answer those 4 questions. Where am I? For those of you that read the Bible, there's these 2 characters, Adam and Eve and Adam, and they do what they're told not to do. They would never be in the perfect column. And they realized that they were naked. Ever realize you were naked? And they heard a voice that said, where are you? Where are you when you're vulnerable? Where are you when you wake up in the morning? Where are you when you walk into a room? The 4 are, where are you physically, emotionally, intellectually? What are you thinking? What's going on in the brain? And spiritually. And they're all a part of you. And it's part of your mindfulness practice as we move from me to we. Am I comfortable in this we place? Maybe physically, but maybe not emotionally. What's happening with my thinking? Yakety, yakety, yak. Can I just be present right here, right now. Where am I as a we? Sometimes you could be very present with what's happening in front of you and have no idea what's happening behind you. So sometimes it's important to look around, do a 360. Okay. Take a couple of minutes to ponder that. Out of the purpose of using imagery is to get the magic fibers of the corpus callosum activated to move from your left brain thinking to the right brain. Imagination, curiosity. The left brain, which we developed very young, and hunters and gatherers, it's there to keep you safe. It's there to say, yeah, but. And if in mindfulness practice, you notice the yeah, buts, and you notice the choices that you have. What else can I do? What other things can I think about? And that's part of giving us hope. It also helps the world continue, because it's very easy to get caught up in a doldrum of comfort. Couch potato. Love just sitting there and doing nothing. Okay, next slide, please. So this is a heart, and on it is written, the golden thread of consciousness. If we were all in the same room and I was with you, I would give each of you a golden thread. And this comes from Ariadne, it's an ancient story from Greece, where there was a woman named Ariadne living on an island, and she wanted to get off the island. And a boat of men came, like they do every year. Her father brings them in order to kill the Minotaur in a labyrinth. And she meets this guy off the boat, and she decided she really likes this guy, and she gets him to agree to take her off the island if she gives him the magic golden thread of consciousness. And she has a mystical friend that creates the thread and gives it to the guy. He goes in. If you've ever walked a labyrinth, you think, well, there's only one way in and one way out. Well, we often get distracted by different things that happen while we're walking through that labyrinth. That's what we do. The mind notices the little glitz over there, or the hummingbird over there, or somebody loud over there talking and distracting you. We all get distracted. The golden thread of consciousness is to remind us to stay focused. As one of John Lewis would say, keep your eyes on the prize. Not everybody has a golden thread of consciousness. I would like you to write on your paper, please, the things that keep you with your eyes on the prize. It's a rabbit's foot. Is it, oh, is it your heart? Is it your values? What keeps you? Is it your inner voice talking to you? Is it your heart happy? Is it a loved one? We all need a golden thread of consciousness. Keep us focused on what's important to us. It's very easy to get angry at someone. It's very easy to other someone or thing. They're just thinking about throwing the keys on the table and then not being able to find where I threw them. We all have distractions, I think. Time is one of our distractions. It'd be interesting to make a list of distractions. And then put a line next to hook them up with what keeps you focused. Could be hunger gets you distracted. Might be making sure that you get the right amount of food to eat, or just pausing to eat. Keeping yourself in the present moment, not distracted by the past or was thinking about the video that Shana showed and seeing someone, and you have a story about that person, which could be distracting you from their beautiful smile as they come towards you. Hopefully bringing you into the present moment. Listen to the body. It has great wisdom. Let's look at the next slide. Yes, and. There's little yeses up in the corner. Yes, and. When I fell in love with the Hebrew letter Vav, which is the sixth letter of the Hebrew alphabet, it actually translates to and most of the time. And I put and into the Google, and up came improv. Well, I'm not an improv artist. I am a trust of my intuition. And I build on what comes before. So the left brain gives me a message and I say, yes, and I'm encouraging you to acknowledge that left brain. It's very smart. And it doesn't know everything. Check in with your body. Check in with your emotions. Check in with something bigger than you. The mystery of life. Let the and be like wings to lighten you up, make you laugh. Yes, and like deciding not to judge every driver that was driving me nuts and to focus on my gratitude. I have a car. I can drive. I know where I'm going. I have a GPS. Yes, and the left brain and the right brain. Corpus callosum. Sharing information. Redesigning, just like our internet. Okay, the next slide, please. Okay. All that we're doing is to help you be aware of our connections within your body, outside of your body. So as a coach, as Lyndon said, I did coach for many years. Frequently, the client would say, thank you. And I would say, you're welcome. And then I began to be aware that they were thanking me. I should thank them because they gave me all the fodder. They gave me all the information in order for me to work with. And so I started saying, thank us. You and me in the overlap. So here's the piece around connection. If we were all together, I would say, who here plays an instrument when we're younger? Who still plays an instrument? Do we have enough people to make an orchestra, or maybe just a trio? We are all connected. Sue Rose told us about that with David Bohm. I'm telling you that with David Bohm, this quantum physics, the imagination, it is an illusion to think that we're separate. We are vibration. We are connected to everything and everyone. And we live in the overlap of we live on the overlap of us. So you bring yourself into this usness as I bring my stuff into the usness. I know that you can draw a Venn diagram. I'd ask you to do that now. and begin to think about all the shades of who you are as you the athlete, you the computer nerd, you the cook, you the chef, you the happy person, you the coach, all the different shades of who you are and your unique self. And then think about all the people that you connect with, that you overlap with, and put their names on the other side of the Venn diagram, the other circle. When we connect with other people, we connect in different ways with different people because we're different in who we are. That overlap changes and shifts and moves just like you do. And so for some reason in my doodle, I put water, I put a mountain, I put sky and a sun and a flower. Because I like to think that that overlap has movement. There's nothing static about our connection. As one of my friends says, it's a synergy that happens. And that we-ness, it's very exciting, has great potential. So I just wanted to say the green circle and the blue circle come together in the overlap. They sit on my doodle of a heart. And if you can think of the heart as a very complex organ, it brings in blood, it shoves off blood, it has 4 different sections, they're always moving. That's the life that the overlap sits in. The complexity and the simplicity. Because that's all you see on the beeper is beep, beep, beep. And all this is happening in that organ that sits in your chest that keeps you alive. And all that is possible in the overlap. The magnificence of you and the magnificence of all that you overlap with, even if you don't like them sometimes, or you want to get rid of them. They are holy too. If we were sitting in the room together I would ask you to reach out to the person next to you and grab a hold of their pinky with your pinky like this. And look in their eyes and say, connected, connected. And for those of you online, I'm reaching out to you, to my little camera with my pinky, and saying, connected, connected. We are all connected. We're connected by energy. We're connected by stories. We're connected by so many things. And Einstein said, it's a delusion that we're separate. And delusion feels kind of negative, so I changed it to illusion. It's an illusion that we're separate. So even with your family far away, you're connected to them, not just by the phone. Energetically, you're connected with them. You're connected with them that are alive and those that aren't. And many of you can tell stories about that. So let's look at the next slide. It's crossing those barriers. This is my doodle for that. You want to make a list of people you are connected with that live far away. How many times have you said, you know, we haven't talked in a year? And it's like it was yesterday that we had our last conversation because we just picked right up. We. This is the we for you to think about. Be mindful of the connection. Being present in the moment, noticing the distractions from the past, and making a choice. And we have one more slide. So this is the superpower drone. And everybody needs to have a superpower drone. And the purpose of that is when you get mired in the mud, like the beautiful lotus, trying to get up out of the mud to bloom into the sky through the water. We all get stuck in those places, and sometimes we need perspective. And I'm offering you, and as this superpower drone, to rise up above whatever is holding you in place. And, you know, just saying, and what else do I need to see? What else can I feel? Who else needs me in their life? What else haven't I done that I want to make sure I do? Superpower drone. A drone used for good things, Can you think of times when it would be helpful to get out of the mud, get out of the confusion? Would and be helpful. Would it be helpful to let the left brain become a we with the right brain and work with those corpus callosum fibers and be whole brain thinking? Being in alignment with yourself. We is such a magnificent word. I hope that you're getting different perspectives on we and how to build a habit of we, because we need that. We need you to think of yourself as part of the we. And how important you are to come up with the next idea. Yes, from birth to death. I always say, remember to breathe, because you can. So the slides are to be shared, and on the slides are, can we look at some of the other ones? Matthew, please. Thank you. Oh, I moved her this morning. That is an adventurer. I forgot that I'd moved her this morning. This doodle she's holding on to a vav, and she's saying yes, and she's an adventurer. And so the question is to all of us, are you willing to be an adventurer and walk into the unknown, trusting the process, treasuring yourself, and trusting yourself? Are you willing to walk into the unknown as an adventurer, trusting the process, treasuring yourself, and trusting yourself? And what do you need to take with you into that unknown? What bag of tricks do you have? What's in that little bag? We see the next slide. So this is a Native American elder poem. And I have a few more minutes, I think. So this is for you to read when you have a chance. It says, stand still. The trees beside you are not lost. Wherever you are is called here, and you must treat it as a powerful stranger. So it's about being mindful of the present moment. You can go away and you can come back. And it says, the forest knows where you are. Let it find you. And then the next poem, these are all for you to have. The next slide, Matthew. Oh, Yogati wisdom. The unknown is where all outcomes are possible. Enter there with grace. So that goes with walking into the unknown as an adventurer. And the next slide is a Mary Oliver poem. And in the red is the past and the present is what your life is. It's another support of being present in the moment and not being distracted by the past. Unless it's a dog in front of you and you've been bitten, then be careful. Or anything else like that. Or don't touch the hot stove. Remember, trust yourself and treasure yourself. And the next slide, Matthew. Thank you. This is my friend Barry Oshry and the importance of seeing systems. We fall out of possibility of partnership with one another if we don't understand one another. We make up stories about one another. We have myths and prejudices of one another. We hurt and destroy one another. All this happens without awareness of choice. Dance of blind reflex. We're encouraging you to be present in the moment, to pay attention to the distractions, to the stories, and give that moment a chance as you trust and treasure yourself. Next slide, please. I love this quote by James Baldwin. Not everything that is faced can be changed, and nothing can be changed until it is faced. Being mindful, seeing yourself as part of that we, knowing that you are interconnected with everything and everyone. You make a difference. Even a smile makes a difference to somebody, maybe even you. And the next slide. These are just some different ways of looking at and inclusion. And we're really trying to move as a beginner, then you make mistakes. Sometimes you're awkward, sometimes you're angry, sometimes you feel naked and very vulnerable, and sometimes you're a dilly-dally. I hope that you remember dignity for yourself and for others. And if we can close the slides, I would like to read you my poem. Say, escape. And there you go. Okay. Thank you for all your time and your willingness to play with me. I hope it was helpful. So, and as inclusion will save the world from dying. I love you, but I hear you speak, and I remember, but negates anything that came before it. So maybe you don't love me or want to honor what I just said, validating me, building on my reality in our relationship. being your creative, loving self, my partner, for our benefit, a vital part of the world. Yes, and but clings to certainty, impedes the flow of thinking and intuition, is scared of something new and inevitable change, keeping you, us, trapped in the past and stuck in the doldrums of comfort on a gerbil wheel to nowhere. Yes, but is judgmental, loves to say, I know, and is closed to freshness, curiosity, innocence, and limiting our fun, our laughter, our joy, our hope. That left brain is a potty pooper. And is simple math. 1 + 2 = 3. Each element transformed by the plus sign, unifying, and is an invitation to pause, to ponder in silence, allowing the next thought to enter, energizing you and me, celebrating us connected, living in the overlap of we, a contradiction to the illusion of separateness. And innervates the magic fibers of the corpus callosum, incorporating whole brain music by responding yes and to the left brain's last thought and flowing into imagination, curiosity, a promise, a vow, a seed planted for the future, harvesting to oneself no more cortisol, flight, or fight, activating instead the oxytocin, building we relationship of various flavors, salty, sweet, sour, bitter, umami, fat, and spicy. Irreplaceable sensibilities each of us are, for each delicious soul is essential. What would the world look like without saffron or indigo or hot pink? Me within we, weaving together, strengthening a resilient web below and above ground, holding us safely as Anne does, no doubting the power of coming together for the whole person, the whole world for good. In this last minute, I would love for you to make a vow to yourself, a promise to yourself as we end this session. Take a few minutes to look within. I am deeply moved by your attention and the process. If you would like a copy of the "And" poem, I'd be more than happy to share it. Enjoy your lunch. Thank you, Matthew, very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Zippy. Oh, I'll just stand here.
You're welcome.
Okay. Oh, that's not lovely. I'll do this. And I'll sit
Well
down.
done, Zippy. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank us. Thank us.
Thank us.
Thank us.
Thank
Yeah.
us. We did it together.
Well, we really appreciate you, Zippy, for adding a whole new element to our summit with the visuals, the drawings, and of course your poems. So we really appreciate you. One more time for Zippy.